Greetings and salutations. Welcome, race fans, sports lovers, and others. Welcome to episode 83 of Waved Yellow. We are 84, 83, 84. Gary, which one is it? Hello.
84. Colin, are you well?
How do you know it's 84? Because it is 84. I couldn't read what production put down on my notes, Gary.
Again?
We are in the at the higher ground in the restaurant facility in the grounds of St. Stithian School in the Antarctic. Gary, I always have this saying, there's no such thing as cold weather, bad clothing. I've got I like my jacket, it's very nice.
You've got that one on?
But underneath I haven't got enough. You're the monster today.
Yeah, well, things happen.
You are a monster, Gary.
There, I see quite a few guys online.
Already? The Oaks have got used to the new time. We're loving it.
Yeah.
The snow is about to arrive.
No, we've got David White online, we've got Lee Phillips online, Cedric Fryer, Keegan Ward, Michael Walk all the way down Neisner, Andrew Eves just locked on.
Gary, we could do this for another 35 minutes. Shall we go that? How's it put? Hello to Jerry in the house.
No, we're not going that route. We are definitely not going that route. We're going to stick to our route, okay? Our route rules.
And so it does. So, first of all, to start off with, Dion Schoeman.
Yes.
A journalist of note.
Sad news.
A scholar, a gentleman, a true race fan. Petrol head passed away. Dion is probably in a better place. He was really ill and not well, not fit. So, Dion, to your friends, to you, Hambagahle, and to friends, family, and those who knew Dion, sympathies and respect. You know, he was a good guy, one of the good guys. Then to Tasman Pepper, happy birthday.
Yeah.
She was due to be our guest tonight, but unfortunately their celebrations got in the way.
Yes, and
Damn!
She politely said, can we cancel tonight? We do it another time because I've got a birthday.
Yeah, so we...
Tasman, enjoy it. I hope you get spoiled rotten. And keep up the good work, girl. You're keeping us proud.
Yeah, she's doing some really good work in W Series. Really, really proud. And then while we've got on arrivals and departures, we go to the repairs department. And to Mike Briggs. Anybody who's listening can send on our best regards to Mike Briggs. He had a neck fusion, too many crashes in a racing car. Gary, everybody thought I crashed a lot of cars. Mike crashed a fair amount himself. And his neck has finally decided that it needs to get fused. So he's going to be a little bit strange for a while. Good. Get well soon, Mike.
Yeah.
Really look forward to seeing you driving in another electric car up the hill at Samola.
Yeah.
Hill climb.
Samola, yeah. Not my Samola.
Gary. So what happened this weekend?
No, just before you go then, also to Sean van der Linde. Go over there.
Sean, the story is Sean's on his way he's at the airport.
He's sitting at OR Tambo.
Ready to fly to Germany to watch the children drive the cars.
To watch the children drive the cars in opposition to one another. You know, the last time they were there, they were driving the same car together.
Gary, that was about a year ago,
yes,
hey?
Yes. Now they're driving against one another.
And they were winner chicken dinner last year.
That's right.
So the most successful driver in recent history of the Nürburgring 24 Hours is Kelvin van der Linde.
He is.
So the most successful father in the history of the world racing at Nürburgring is Sean van der Linde.
That is true.
That's why I said it, Gary.
Yeah.
I only speak the truth.
The truth, yeah.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
The boys from the Kraken are watching.
Yes, as I tell you what, that's a frickin' proper car, that.
Yeah.
So, the Kraken, I love that car. And I was in the grocery store. We're not the grocery store.
you can I be by the Spa?
No, it was a Pick and Pay, and I walked past the magazines. Now, I haven't read a magazine for a long time. I think Scope was the last magazine I ever read. But there I saw,
something where there was stars all over the
on the cover of a racing magazine, a motoring magazine, I saw this black beast with wings and stuff, and it stopped me in my tracks. Now, that is the draw card of a beast that's carbon fiber. You know, we talk about racing in this country, and somebody sent me a message earlier today about what do people think of racing in our country. Well, it depends if you come from Cape Town. If you come from Cape Town, everything's cuck. They're unhappy with life, and I would be too if I lived there. Because you've got half a mountain, and it rains and it's cold and wet and cuck in winter. They don't know how to drive, and the rest of them are clueless on the road. No. I didn't say that word. I said so Cape Town. So Cucktown is not so lacquer, so the Oaks Wine and Winch. The rest of this country loves racing. We had Colin Wendell here last week talking just and the glint in his eyes about the passion of racing at Edubi, where's it? Desi Raceway in Natal. You've got, there are pockets of stuff. Then you get guys who come in from England, from the colony, the colonizers, the Queen's own country, and they come here to help us race cars because the world epicenter of global motorsport is England. So they come here to engineer cars and sell gearboxes we're one of the biggest markets for SADEV, and those are the frogs. Le Frenchman. And we'll see where we're going with this French connection, because we've got a mega French connection. They come here and they're amazed at some of the stuff that we do. You've got Scribanti Racing bringing in that machine.
Yeah.
The guys in Australia and New Zealand, they're blown away that this is happening here, and also the level of engineering and the technology that flies backwards and forwards. So the state of South African racing, what is it? It's good. It's strong. It's growing. And if your eyes are open enough, and Gary, I always say to you, your altitude depends on your attitude.
Correct.
If you've got a shitty outlook on life, everything is going to be bad. But if you change your mind, change your gear, every cloud has a silver lining.
That is true.
And even when there's... Gary,
things that are not
so
sure.
Talking about France,
Yeah.
Le Mans.
Interesting thing out there for everybody online. How many of you guys actually enjoyed the 24 Hours of Le Mans?
Everybody. You did all enjoy it, full stop. That first 2 hours of the the LME GT Pro, I don't know what they call it there. Like the GT3 cars, but on steroids.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. 14 cars, 10 seconds, nose to tail, pass here, pass there. The Corvette. Okay, so now, the Aston Martin led. And then when they crashed it and they didn't finish anywhere, then they started bleating about balance of performance. So
Bop arrived again.
Nobody did, and they did it on the race morning, but it was like tiny little things, little smidgens. The bottom line with the Aston Martin, they put it on pole. They'd been, apparently, my sources tell me, they were sandbagging in the test and all the rest of it. And then come qualifying, they put it on pole, 5.5 seconds quicker than last year, miraculously, in essentially the same car. And then they lead the race.
Yeah.
And then when on the second stint of the tires, all of a sudden, because they do 2 stints, they can on the tires about 50 odd minutes on the first set, and then going on the second set, and they disappear. So bottom line is their car doesn't like the tires. They haven't sorted their suspension out. And then they cry and they bleat about balance of performance, and then the fans of one make look at it and they cry and balance of performance it always will be. It's just there. Suck it up, buttercup, harden up, go and do your homework and learn to run with it. Ford, I think the ACO have learned from Ford's, shall we say, alleged manipulation of the BOP when they were allowed to win on their comeback and just make sure that their LME program worked. This was the last race of the car. So what happened to them? They cheated?
They did? Sis, naughty boys.
Well, Gary, whether it was intentional or not, they cheated. So they disqualified 2 of the Fords, the one Ford. And I just want to talk a little bit about the penalties
Yeah.
that, oh, by the way, this show we've entitled Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie, why?
Because it's just the two of us, Gary.
Don't start harmonizing me.
No, it's just the two of us.
Okay.
So, rules are rules.
Okay.
And the Keating car that won the LME AM, great effort, privateer car. They were pitted next to the factory car at Le Mans, and what they actually did, Gary, there's a brick wall in between. So they got the hammers out and they moved a big hole in the wall so that they could essentially have like an extension of the Chip Ganassi Racing and pit. And so it was a very, very well supported privateer team. So they win, and then they do some checks, and they discover, first of all, there's a penalty for wheel spinning. Some say, some of my sources,
Penalty for wheel spinning.
they tell me, well, there were two issues. One was, let's just go through it. The front left-hand side of the car was bashed in where they drove into somebody else, which was a common occurrence at Le Mans, as the Corvettes found out. And so they got called in to fix the bumper. Many people say, and three of the people I had words with today said that it was okay. They thought that the Ford was okay, and they thought that two of them said that the frogs were out to get them, which is about what the frogs do, like they did to Mini when they drilled everybody at Monte Carlo many moons ago. If you can remember that, you're in the old club. Welcome to the old club. So they pull them in for the bumper to get that fixed, and then as they leave, they wheel spin, and the rule is you're not allowed to wheel spin, so they give them a penalty for that. And then they come in and they serve that penalty, which drops them down a little bit. And Jeroen Bleekemolen from the Holland drove the boots off that car, and they win on the track. Then they start with the data. And these cars have all got data, so they know exactly how long the fuel stops take, and they know how long the cars have been stationary in the pits, and the shouting and the screaming you can hear in the background are the boys are happy that we might win a game of bat and ball.
Yeah.
The pink Porker might
just go and do something.
Well, Porkers do fly, as Mark Webber. Oh no, those were Mercedes. They fly.
That's right.
So they then check the fuel capacity of the car, and it is 90.1 liters. So it's 100 milliliters oversized, and they kicked out for that. They also check the speed that it can fuel goes into the tank. They find that it's half a second too quick, so they disqualify them.
That's the same thing that got Calvin van der Linde penalized
in America.
In America.
Now I want to talk a little bit about penalties and the way that rules are written.
Yeah.
And there's a fine line. You know, if you kill somebody, they're not half dead. They're dead by definition.
Yeah.
So therefore it becomes murder. You can't be half dead. Well, many people are. They walk amongst us.
Yes.
But I was thinking of the half-pregnant part of it. So if you allow somebody, let's say in the Ford's case, 90 liters of fuel, and you find it to be 90.1, and you say, well, it's just a little bit, doesn't make much of a difference. You then open the rule book, because motorsport people, by their very nature, push the boundary. So if you say that you allow somebody with 90.1, you set a precedent. And next year, everybody will go to 90.1. Now, those of you who like Fords will say, oh, well, it didn't make much of a difference. Well, if that 0.1 didn't make much of a difference, why didn't they make it 0.1 less than the 90 liters? Well, because it does make a difference. And the half a second in the 23 pit stops that they did, Gary?
Yeah.
What's 23 times a half? It's like 14.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. It's like 13. 12. I'll get there eventually. Maths and science is important, so just 11.5 seconds over a race. Now, when you're pretty close, it makes the difference between coming somewhere and nowhere.
Yeah.
So it does make a difference, and it also sets a precedence. And it goes back to the crash at Canada. When you write rules that are really tight and they're very descriptive, and you say that if you impede a driver, you will get a 5-second penalty at the minimum, and up to many other penalties. All you have to do is, you don't need a proper driver representative. You can have anybody, and you just ask the question, did this oak impede that oak? Yes.
Okay.
And then, unfortunately, the rules say. So sometimes having a rule is bad because it takes away the human element. All of us wanted that whole thing to go racing and say, oh, it's a racing incident, let it go. But Formula One brought that upon themselves. And slowly but surely, as more and more money gets involved and more professionalism gets involved, if the rule says 90, it's 90.
Yeah.
If you over a little bit, take your swammies and duck. So as Ben Keating, who was actually gracious in the interview that I saw with him, he said that if he knew now what he knew then, they wouldn't have pushed the boundary as much as they did, and they would have left a little bit more wriggle room. So he understands, and Ford will be back. And talking of costs, because we know that racing costs a lot of money,
Yeah.
I heard a figure in order to run a P2 car at Le Mans,
Okay, P2 is
an LMP2
yeah.
car. Now these things, so it's the second division of cars. In fact, it's a third, because you've got the LMP1, the hybrid, the two Toyotas who
Yeah.
race in a class of their own. And we'll talk about that. And then you've got the LMP1 non-hybrids, and then you've got the LMP2s, which are third division sports cars. The pole time of the winning of the pole on P2, LMP2, was quicker than any of the Porsche and Audi when they were on full-on fight.
2 years ago.
Quicker than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is mean. But they have some fine cars in that.
Oh, they're cool.
LMP1 car.
And how strong are they? Did you see that, the crash with the Jumbo? He rises, it's a little bit iffy conditions, hits the brakes, turns right, bounces off the barrier. Massive crash. There's carbon fiber and bits of stuff flying.
Pulled the whole left wheel right off the
No,
car.
no, not that one. The other one. So he bounces off going into the chicane,
Yeah.
drives the car back to the pit, they take the nose off, put a new nose back on, send it out 3.5 minutes later. Those cars are strong. And for that, a lot of people, it's trendy to trash the FIA and any governing body, and my gosh, it's getting cold here. It's trendy to trash any of the governing bodies, but the FIA have set some pretty strong standards for safety, particularly inside the cockpit and frontal impact safety. And you could see the results of that with that particular LMP2 one. You could see the one where the Corvette and the Porsche touched in the Porsche curves. And Corvette, Jan Magnussen Sr. went into the barrier, and that was quite a big crash. But he walked away from it, drove the car back to the pits, and so the cars are immensely strong. And so that's one of the things that comes out of it. The other thing is the absolute speed.
Yeah.
And one of my other takeaways, Gary, was the disparity in speed between some of the faster cars.
Yeah.
And also some overall, so the LMP1s down to the lowest of the AM cars, and also some of the wide-ranging capabilities of drivers. It's ginormous. And
you could see it in every time, especially when you got an AM getting into a car, mixing it with the pro guys. There you could actually see the guys. And guys, don't get me wrong, and I admire the guys that do it, but the pro guys are so good. They actually just sort of seem to leave the car in a...
And anybody who thinks driving at Le Mans is easy, dude, you're delusional. It is. These people are all absolutely super special. It is a mega achievement. And we wanted to have George Fisher with us tonight, and unfortunately couldn't make it. And just to go through, we don't realize actually how special these people are.
That's true.
With respect to Nick Adcock and Michael Jensen, they went over there and they ran an LMP3. And for a number of reasons, they didn't do very well. And, track time is so critical on that place. There's 31 corners, 13 and a bit kilometers. To get it all right, you've got to be absolutely
Just a quick one, while you're
superstar.
looking at some notes over there. Stu Watts has come online. Stu, nice to have you online. And Stu just informing us he's at airport. He's off to France for the round 3 of the French Formula Ford Championship. And don't forget, he's the only South African that has a potential of one day maybe making it into Formula 1, as he has
he's on the road.
He has a deal with
Sauber?
Sauber F1 stroke Alfa Romeo F1. Okay, and then just another one quickly to somebody else, Mike Nathan, wanting to know how many drivers are going to Nuremberg this weekend.
Going where, Gary?
Nürburgring.
Very good.
Okay.
How many are going, Gary?
We originally had 3. We've been cut down to 2. And the reason we've been cut down to 2 is because David Perrell had a problem with a
In order to race at the N24, you need to go through some qualifying stages. Right. Now, he believes that he's gone through all the qualifying stages. He's done the same qualifying stages that his teammates have done. But the Germans are Germans, and they are being very German at the moment. Mm-hmm. So they said to him, "Nein, you cannot race." So he wasn't awarded his A permit, discovered probably about 4 hours ago. And so, unfortunately, he won't be racing in the Kessel Ferrari.
So we've got Calvin in the Motorsport Land Plus.
Monteplast by Land Audi. Gary, Focus Bring. Check out Focus, China.
Is this my time again?
That's your time. Got to have it.
We have Sheldon van der Linde in the Schnitzer
BMW.
Yeah. Is it an M8 or M6? M6.
I think it's an M6, Gary, M6, because M8 is the one they run in other places. So they've pulled out of the LMP program, and there was big talk about BMW going to IndyCar. But the bottom line of it is the head of BMW in North America said that he gets absolutely no joy and no mileage from being able to say to people, "Oh, look, we're running in IndyCar." I think that's a little bit short-sighted and doof. But anyway, that's my opinion. And you know what opinions are like, Gary?
Yeah.
Pretty much like anuses. We've all got one. So the Ferrari, Pierre Guidi, James Collada, and Daniel Sierra. That guy, I dig him. Daniel Sierra.
Daniel Sierra.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the passes he had, you just got to look at the way he was attacking all the time, and I was a little bit worried that he was going to bin it, but he didn't. And then Apoca won the AM with Jorg Bergmeister, Lindsay, and De Ferra. The LMP2s, there was another disqualification. Oh, Gary. Anyway, it was lekker. It was, I tell you what, it was unbelievable racing. And then I suppose we have to talk about the world champion, because now His Highness,
the one and only,
His Greatness.
You sit like this in a chair.
His Greatness, Sir Ferdinando Alonso, the Great. Well, he's.
What do they call a sir in the Spanish language? Don't somebody put it in there for us. Tell us what.
If you can.
A knighted royalty in the Spanish language would be.
I'll tell you what, the King of Spain, Ferdinando Alonso. He's actually one of 2, Gary, and I had to make notes. 2 drivers ever to win a world championship in 2 disciplines. Oh, do you know who the other one was?
Who?
Your mate Peter Solberg. There are only 2 FIA world champions.
Yeah.
We've interviewed Peter Solberg.
Yeah, we got busted by him.
We were told basically we've got one chance to interview Fernando.
And he did not happen.
We didn't have that chance. Yeah. So he's the other one. And a huge shout out to Nakajima.
Greg Drummond says you call him Fred.
Fred, yeah. No, you don't. You call him. You can't call him Fred. That's like for shortening. Greg. Go to your Spanish dictionary and look up king for us. We'll call him King Ferdinand, King Fred. So Nakajima is the first Japanese ever in the history of the world
to win a world championship.
An FIA four-wheeled world championship. There may have been a couple of two-wheelers, but he's done it in four-wheel. So that was, and Sebastian Buemi, awesome. So they won world championship.
Mike Nathan just added to your comment about that. He said, how pretty was the exclusion of the GT Fords for being 650 milliliters over on their tank capacity.
No. That was the Pro one.
Oh.
It was 650, and then the other one, it was 100 milliliters. It's less than a beer. It's like a fifth of a beer. It's like 2 sips. Gary?
Talking about that. What happened to our services off me?
No. We only have beers after the show, and Higher Ground. We back here. I've just got a big shout out to Mark for his hospitality. It's Urton. Which brings us neatly
to
talking about
he's on
Urton. The Gary, hold on. No.
The white guys online.
There was something else I wanted to talk about. So this was
we got an O show.
This was the end of this championship, and then finally, we had agreement on. I think it was the Friday. Yeah, it was Friday where they announced the new hypercar, new regulations for 2020 for LMP. And essentially what they've done is they've done a cop-out. They haven't gone with, they've basically said to America, you carry on doing what you do with DPR 2.0. We're going to do our thing, because at the last minute, Aston Martin came in and they said that they had committed to build a car. So what are these cars? A hypercar is, well, it's a bit of a hodgepodge. Bring what you brung, and we'll equivalency formula it up to where it goes.
And we'll put technology in the rest of the world doesn't understand.
No. You can run basically anything. So it can be a normally aspirated. So Aston Martin are bringing their V10 Valkyrie.
Valkyrie, yeah.
And the funny thing was, they asked Aston Martin, in terms of equivalency formula and balance of performance, how are you going to do this? The Alex says, no, we're going to detune it. So it comes with a 1200 horsepower V12 Cosworth engine, so they'll have to detune that and run that. Toyota, I've got some pictures of a Subaru running, not a Subaru, a Supra running around, slip of the tongue, a Supra running around the track. It's not going to be anything like that. So you can build a purpose-built race car, and you can have it mild hybrid, and they're going to weigh about 1,200 kilos, which is kind of heavy.
Yeah.
They think that they'll do about 3 minute 20 at Le Mans, which is, and if you consider that the lap record now sits at 3:17, which is unbelievably quick. There are 89 corners on the track, by the way, Gary, if production have done it. Sorry, 39 corners, 13.6 and a little bit kilometers, and the winner did 5,236 kilometers, 385 laps. Just for those of you who wanted to know. So Toyota are in, Aston Martin are in, and McLaren are going to bring one of their cars, and so it goes on and so forth and so on. And Gluckenhausen is also going to bring one of his cars.
And then maybe that other Swedish
Janetta,
that Swedish guy that runs the
Koenigsegg.
A Koenigsegg,
Whether they've got the budget to run it, who knows. But they also announced the new LMP3 cars, which are looking, so the Janetta G57 that we've got here, we've got 2 of them here in this country, they're essentially LMP3 cars with a big Chevy engine in it.
Correct.
So now they've gone to they've got updates on lots and lots of aero. These things are, the aero on these cars is unbelievable with the front splitter and stuff. It's crackenish.
Just while you're there, and I think it's time we're going to start switching to something, but I'm just trying to find out who was online. Somebody asked us a question where we're going to be this weekend, and
we're going to be in the friendly city.
No, you wanted to know whether we're going to be at the Botswana 1000 or we're going to be at the King Price rally, a national rally. Unfortunately, guys, we do have a deal with Extreme Supercars. So
G&H Transport Extreme Supercars.
We're going to be in East London this weekend, bringing all the exciting things. And if you saw our promo video, there was the a McLaren and a Porsche. And the reason they're on there is because it's exciting news, because we finally have a full-blown...
No, but we've got one of them here already. The Sam Hammond car
That's right.
is also there.
Yeah.
Sam has got that car. I'm not sure how committed. He's not as committed as the guys at Stradale. So bottom line is that Charles Ranges is running a McLaren
MP4 12C 2015
GT3 car painted in the Marlboro colours, Marlboro colours of it's an Ayrton Senna tribute. Just seeing that Mission Win Now, I call it Mission Minnow, which is, I mean, you can't read that cock logos.
Mission Win Now.
Yeah, I know that. So they've really kind of been busting. It looks like the cigarette advertising is kind of being pushed away, and they're going to have to find another way of getting it on.
That'll affect Ferrari and
McLaren.
Ducati.
And McLaren, because McLaren have got BAT money in there. Because smoking kills you, it's bad, and it makes you grumpy as well, doesn't it, Gary?
It does. So for those who are very interested to watch some really, really exciting racing this weekend,
East London, G&H Transport Extreme Supercars. Gary, what have we got there? Yeah, what have we got there?
We have a McLaren MP4 GT3 car. We have a Porsche 997 Turbo.
I'll tell you what, and they've done, my sources tell me, there's been a whole lot of development work on that car on two fronts. On the power front, because we like power.
Don't tell me they put a front big.
No, that car doesn't need it, but they've done a lot of work on the rear aerodynamics. So that track, East London is it's an awesome track. It's the highest speed track that we've got in this country. There's two relatively slow speed corners, but all the others are high speed. They flow into, particularly in the complex corner, flow, and it's bumpy. So from an aero point of view, you want to get with a very high loads, you want to try and stabilize the platform. You know those words we've been talking about since forever. So you want to stabilize the platform. But in the braking area going into turn 3, the beach corner, Copacabana.
The entrance to the complex, actually.
No, Copacabana, the one at the end of the straight, is the one I'm talking about, Gary, the slow one. The braking area is very, very bumpy. So the damping work, whoever can figure out the dampers is going to be really good on the brakes. And if you want to come up the inside, and it's a great passing maneuver, passing point. The other one is the complex where you come in through gate and into the S's, where you've got a sequence of right, left, long right, that's bumpy on the inside. To get that, and they're high-speed corners. They really are. They're well over 120, 130 in those cars. And to get that right and keep the aero working, because the aero, you've got nice aero load in it. It's going to be fascinating to see that battle between Scribanti in the Porsche and Ranges in the McLaren. I'm really looking forward to that battle. The Porker should do. I'm looking for that thing to break 290 k's an hour down the straight.
I believe it's possible to do it.
Anything's possible, Gary. Wind the boost up. Give it more boost, Scotty.
But besides that, we got some Lamborghinis, we've got Ferraris, we've got.
Is it Ricky? Oh, Gianni. Get your hip sorted. Gianni's there, Ricky. Get your hip sorted, brother. The Oaks at Tashes are missing you.
Ricky's going to watch us from the bed.
Ricky had an operation let's put it this way. There was cutting, there was screwing, and there was plating going on. And there's titanium involved, so it's lacquer, and there's recovery now involved. So follow the recovery. If you don't follow the recovery, it's not going to be good. And talking about recovery, big shout out to Fritz, who's on our production team when we do the live streaming. Back fusion is not so lacquer. Geez, all these oaks are fraught and broken.
Ricky also had a bit of back fusion down the bottom of his spine because with the previous op and that, it upset it a bit, so they had to fuse the last two vertebrae.
To get the hip alignment right. Yeah. So it's not only wheel alignment. Oh, on this note of things getting broken, I normally start.
What's busted now, buddy?
with Hastie's helpful hints.
Oh, okay.
This is designed to add to your life and to save damages.
Let me see your hands. Have you stuck a screw?
No, there was no blood. But Gary,
Did you fall off a ladder?
there were sparks. So my job involves stuff with power tools, which are lacquer because they make noise and they do stuff. So here's my helpful hint. When you are sawing a new door and you're taking 10 millimeters off the bottom of the door and you've measured and all the rest of it, and you've got your circular saw with its nice carbide tip blade on it,
Yeah.
and Gary, it's a good idea to use the 32 teeth per inch version because it's nice and it gives you a finer
Here
cut.
comes the math part of our show again. Yeah.
It's a 2.1 kilowatt circular saw, so it's kind of powerful, and they all come with a safety
Would you like
guard.
me to hold the microphone?
Yeah, okay. So you take the safety guard up, power the thing up, and it's noisy and it's fun. And then you cut. And you've drawn your line and you're following the line, you've got your goggles on. Because, Gary, safety first.
Yeah.
Always remember to put the electrical wire behind the saw, not in front.
And you cut the cable.
Because when you go,
So you had a sparkling day today, did you?
yes, it's Gary. It made. It
Okay.
was fun.
Just-
So remember, when you're using your circular saw and your lawnmower, for that matter, have the electrical cable behind you.
Just a
So
quick
that's
one.
my helpful hint for the day.
Just a quick one for you. Justin Waddington, who's Mr. Shock Absorber in South Africa, he's just confirmed something for you about
Yes.
the Porker.
Yes.
He says damping is sorted, Colin. Penske shocks.
Well, that's an interesting one, Justin, because from a testing point of view, the bumpiness of Swartkorps is going to be very interesting to see how that translates to the high-speed bumpiness of East London. But Justin knows his valving.
You and Justin know what you're talking about because this is now getting like weird.
A damper has got valves in it. It's actually very simple, Gary. A shock absorber or a damper is a tube filled with oil with a stick and some valves on it. And all you're doing is moving the stick up and down in the valves, in the oil, using the valves to control the speed that it goes up.
Oh, yeah?
It's simple.
Okay, Justin, suddenly he's given the best explanation of a shock absorber. I have no...
It's not really a shock absorber, it's a damper.
Okay.
In that it controls the movement of a body that is supported by a spring over a variable surface.
Cool.
It sounds so easy, but it is the blackest of black arts, and the guys who get it right are very, very clever and very well sought after.
Just before
Total black art.
Just before we go on, Wayne Watt came back and says, Colin...
What?
Wayne Watt.
What?
What? Wayne Watt has come back and just sort of reminded us John Surtees also won FIA formulas on bikes and F1.
But you were not listening to me, Mr. Watt, because I said
What?
on four wheels.
Okay,
But you're right.
you're right.
John, did Mike Halewood? No.
No, you didn't.
But
win
yeah,
you didn't
John
win
Surtees.
F-
No, you're very
he
right.
won an
Do you know
F1
what I
race, but he didn't
dig?
win the F1 championship.
How cool is it
Yeah.
that you've got so many cleverer peoples out there that catch us out?
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Watt. That TS9 Surtees that he ran, beautiful colors with that dark navy blue. Gary, that's why I like navy blue so much. Just about all my clothes are navy blue.
Navy blue.
Apart from
Even your new race suit is navy blue.
well, it's not a race suit; it's a talking suit. With the V on the front, it was either TS9 or TS7, whatever it was. Beautiful, beautiful car. Thanks for that, Mr. Watt. Anybody else got some interesting
Yeah,
insights?
just Andrew Eve wanted to know, will there be some live coverage of the Extreme Supercars this weekend? Yes, guys, there will be. We will not be covering the physical racing of the circuit, but we will cover all the behind-the-scenes stuff. We'll be going deep inside that Porsche. We'll be going deep inside the McLaren. We'll give you all the specs of the cars. But very technical stuff. So it'll be behind the scenes stuff, interviews with drivers and mechanics and everything. Join us. We'll be live the whole of Saturday.
It's
So you
going
guys-
to be. It's the Mutt and Jeff show. Gary, while I'm there, while we're
No, I
here,
didn't know you were now called Mutt.
okay, Jeff. Does anybody know? I've got on this finger here. It's got like it goes numb on the end, and I haven't been doing anything with it.
Isn't
And
that part of the shocking experience you lived this
I don't know. Does anybody know why this finger goes numb? If you can tell me, it's like when you're really sick. Instead of going to the doctor, you go to Dr. Google, and but you get idiots. There's so many medical companies and scientists and clever people.
Yeah.
They research vaccines, and these woke twits research anti-vaccine on Google, and then they kill their kids and they put our kids in danger because they don't vaccinate. If you don't vaccinate your kids, it's assault. You have to vaccinate your kids. Vaccinating kids is a really good thing. Just like maths and science is really good. Right, so you mentioned a couple of other things about, I don't know what this is, Gary. You mentioned a couple of other things about what's happening this weekend.
Yeah, we have
King Price Rally.
the King Price Rally, which is taking place in Delmas.
It's at the Roy Kroll shooting range on Friday. I hope they're not going to be shooting on Friday.
No, I think they're going to use the shooting range as some of the shakedown area and all that, but they will be out there.
But the shooters, I hope they're not using this.
Shooters or shotters?
The shooters. The shooterists.
Shooters.
No, I said shoot. You said it's with O's.
O's.
The shooters. So the guys who normally play, like a soccer field, is
the
soccer
big
players.
bang boys. Kaboom.
So the shooting players, I hope they're not playing their game at the same time the rally's playing their game. And on Saturday, it's at the Delmas Country Club.
Yes, and then
Can you like to believe?
For those of you that have passports and like the real sandy stuff, you can head off to Botswana and go and watch the Desert 1000.
Spoke to Stuart Thompson today,
Yeah,
and they off with their two Toyotas. Oh, sorry, one Toyota, one VW.
yeah.
It's by all accounts, it's going to be. Look, it's one of the highlights of the calendar. It's almost two national events
one.
back to back.
Yeah.
It's nearly as long as one day of Dakar.
But what I'd like to see is how well supported the Botswana. Okay, that
Apparently-
that means we got another wicket.
Okay, so apparently we are winning a cricketing game, and the bowlers bowl the ball, and the batter's gone. He's not batting anymore. He's walking. So there's Botswana. It's just talking about Dakar. It's 200 days to Dakar, but of course Dakar is not Dakar anymore. It's 200 days to Saudi Arabia,
Yes,
if we want to call it. But you know what I mean.
it'll always stay Dakar if they have their chance.
And then it's 3 days to East London.
Yeah.
East London's more exciting than
So for
Anything.
those of you who want to know, yeah, we will be giving you all the updates from there. We'll try and keep you updated on what's happening with Sheldon and Calvin on Nürburgring. But most of that race will actually take place on Sunday, so you'll hear from us sort of late
Well,
on
it's Saturday
afternoon.
until Sunday.
Yeah, but we're busy,
It's
so
24.
it'll be after us.
It's like one day.
In other words, the moment we stop down there, we start over there.
Gary,
Yeah,
we'll multitask.
okay.
I hope.
Yeah. And we'll try and keep you updated with Stewie White's adventures this weekend. He's racing in Spa-Francorchamps.
And we might also keep you up to date with a Formula One Grand Prix, because they're in France. Formula One is unbelievable. Just the technological marvels that these cars are. They are mind-blowing. The power that they get out of a 1500, whatever it is, a tiny little Mickey Mouse V6 that doesn't rev a lot, it's mind-blowing. The fuel efficiency of over 50%, the battery technology, the stuff. Gary, it's racing. I love racing.
You know, it's that time. I've got to go.
Yeah,
to my-
you go. You do your thing. I'll do my thing. Any answers on why my fingers numb?
From me to everybody out there, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you live Friday and Saturday from East London. Have a fantastic week, guys. Don't get too cold. Enjoy life.
Thanks for watching. This was
episode 84 of Waved Yellow. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your interaction and your interest. Be safe, be warm, be fast, and have a lekker outlook on life. It changes everything. See you next week. Cheers.